Hello everyone, how you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day, and today we are here with a video on my favorite methods for 99 magic on old school RuneScape in my endless adventure to make as many guides as possible. Hopefully you guys enjoy. If you do, make sure to leave a like. But with that said, let's go ahead and get into the guide. The first method that I really enjoy is fire striking lava dragons out in the wilderness. As far as what you need for this to cast Fire Strike, all you're going to need is Mind Runes, Fire Runes, and Air Runes. Personally, I bring a Fire Staff, some very low level gear with the Wizard's Robes and an anti-dragon shield, and from there you can go out and venture into the wilderness and start to kill these. The GP per hour that you can expect to make is anywhere between 100k and 400k. You won't be getting anything all too crazy, and depending on your luck, you could get a Visage, but that's very rare, so not to be expected at all. As far as the XP per hour, it's 10k to 30k XP per hour, depending on what level you are. Personally, I do this for quite a bit early on, just because, one, you make money at a low level, so I find that to be enjoyable, and it's very simplistic and easy. So you could just grab some runes, go out in the wilderness, and start killing dragons, and that's what people want to do in game. Early on with magic, there's a lot of things where you could go do this for 2 levels, go do that for 5, go do this for 10, but with this, you go out there, you do a few hours of fire striking lava dragons, you'll get some loot, and you'll get some magic levels, which is really what we all want to do. So personally, that's the way that I start most of my accounts in terms of magic. From there, for the med game, high alching is very good to go with. As far as what you need for this spell, it's just 1 nature rune per alch, and then also fire runes that you can use a staff for. As far as the GP per hour, you can expect to make 100 to 300k depending on the items that you are going to go ahead and high alch. I'll link down below to the wiki where you can check and see what are the best items to buy for high alching. Typically, it's a mix of buying something that you can buy in high quantity along with something that will get you a good yield. Most of the best yielding high alchs are something that you can't buy too frequently, which is why they yield so much. As far as the XP per hour, it can be up to 75k per hour if you're pretty good about your high alching. It's low level money, and it's also very simple and easy, so personally this makes med level magic very simple for me and very efficient. If you want to be even more efficient about it, there are some ways you can go about that. The first would be to cast high alch and teleports at the same time. This is going to require you to use a law rune for every time you want to cast a teleport. It also brings your GP per hour down to essentially nothing. You're not making or losing anything, but your XP per hour goes up to 125k. This can be done by just casting a teleport. After you cast a teleport, then high alch, and then just continue that process over and over. It doesn't take any delay of time in between. You just have 1 tick delay between the teleport and the high alch, and then you can go off and teleport again. Now, for those that want to get extremely sweaty with this, you can also throw in a sort of combat spell. The best one you can use is stun. However, there's enfeeble and other ones of the like that you can cast on an enemy nearby, and so with that, if you have the runes available to use a combat casting spell, personally, I use the Artie teleport, and from there you can teleport high alch and then cast a spell and do that all again, essentially just stacking more XP into your actions that you're doing. Personally, I think this one is a bit sweaty. You end up losing 200k per hour, but you can get up to 225k XP per hour, which is a far difference from the 75k that we saw before with just high alching. So that's why this could be somewhat doable for people. However, I will say it is quite burdensome. So I wouldn't recommend it, but if you want to be crazy about it, that's a good way to go. Next up is bursting or barraging. This is going to be a staple of a lot of the med and high level game. For this, you're going to need 70 mage or 94 mage, depending on which spell you want to cast, and you're also going to have to unlock ancients through the desert treasure quest. The runes do cost a good bit, however, depending on where you are killing these, you can make that money back. So personally, I recommend to burst or barrage your slayer task, i.e. dust devils, necreals, jellies, anything of the like. In that regard, most of the tasks down in the catacombs can be bursted or barraged if you'd like. I do have guides for all those slayer guides, so you can check that out down below. As far as XP per hour, you can range from 200 to 300k, and it's an efficient way to go about doing slayer, and it's also very quick XP. You could burst or barrage at maniacal monkeys, however, you won't be making any of your money back, and I personally don't recommend to train combats in such a way. I don't like getting the most amount of XP per hour when it's not efficient for your account. With mage, there's so many other places that you're going to have to use this skill that you don't want to go and just get 99 real quick unless you're like a PKer or something, but I don't even think think those exist anymore in the game, to be honest. So just throwing it out there. I don't think it's worthwhile to go to Maniacal Monkeys, but you can do that if you'd like. The next one up is Stringing Jewelry. Personally, this is one that I loved whenever I was going for my first 99. As far as the requirements, you're going to need 80 magic along with the Lunar Spellbook that you can get through completing Lunar Diplomacy. The GP per hour is negative 400k, so you do have to spend a little bit, but the XP per hour is 140k. So this is good in the sense that it's AFK XP. You just get to bank stand, you pull out an inventory of unstrung necklaces, and then you string them through the spell, so you have essentially a full inventory that you can AFK, and it's decent XP per hour. So it's very AFK, very good XP per hour, and it does cost a little bit, but personally, if you have some money to spend like I did back in the day, I love this. I thought it was the best on my grind to 99. Then next up, we have the Bake Pie spell. This is also going to require lunars and 65 magic. As far as the GP per hour here, this is also negative 400k, so not too great. Really depends on what sort of pie you are baking, though. You're going to have to test out what sort of GP per hour you're going to lose by just buying pies, doing the spell a few times, and really testing it, because there's so many different pies, so many different prices, and the pie market is not one that's efficient, so prices fluctuate quite a lot. So really test this before you go in too heavy. But as far as XP per hour, you can get 100k XP per hour in magic, but also in addition to that, 100 to 400k XP per hour in cooking, depending on what sort of pies you want to choose and which pies you have the level to be able to cast it on. So you do need the cooking level to be able to bake the pies, but you can get a lot of XP in that regard. So really the main reason people would do this is that it's 2 skills in one, so you can really kind of be efficient in that regard, which is great. Next up is Enchanting Bolts. Enchanting Bolts only require level 4 magic to be able to cast the lowest version of the spell. However, to get to the highest version of the spell and cast it on every imaginable bolt, for that you're going to need 87 magic. So this is wide ranging, and so is the GP and XP per hour. So as far as the GP per hour, you can go from losing 1 mil an hour to making 1.5 mil an hour, depending on which bolts you're casting it on. The best bolts at the moment are the dragon bolts, because they're in heavy demand due to next recently coming out. I guess the announcement was recent, it'll be out here in a week or two. And as far as the XP per hour, you can get anywhere from 100k to 400k, assuming that you're going pretty quick. As you can see here, you can cast the spell every single tick, so if you're very quick with it, you can get a ton of XP per hour. If you keep messing it up, then it can be a little rough. One thing I would add is you can throw on the metronome plugin on RuneLite, and that will allow you to be able to hear a noise for every single game tick, and that will get you a little bit more in rhythm. As far as some attributes for this, it can be an amazing XP per hour method, which is why a lot of people would do this, but it is hard to attain the supplies. So to continually cast the spell for an hour, you're going to need a lot of bolts, so you have to really plan for this. You have to do your testing, you have to know what you're getting into, but if you know what you're doing, it's an amazing way to train your mage. Then the next method is one that's very strange. It is called Magic Imbue, and this requires the Lunar Spellbook and 82 mage to be able to cast. As far as the GP per hour, it costs 90k GP per hour to be able to cast it, and it only gets 20k XP per hour. However, the reason that this is useful is that it's basically efficiency scape. You can cast the spell once every 21 game ticks or every 12 seconds, and so with that, you don't have to be doing magic. You could be doing fishing, woodcutting, fletching, whatever skill it could be that you're doing. You can cast Magic Imbue on the side. It doesn't interrupt what you're doing, and so it's just free XP that you can add into whatever method you may be up to in game. So it's very efficient in that regard, and it also keeps you very attentive to the game. So if you're someone that tends to lose focus pretty easily, adding other things to do into your RuneScape routine can help you keep that focus if you so desire. Then we have Super GLASSMAKE. This one is a great spell. Personally, I enjoy it a lot. Really good for Ironman as well. This one requires 77 magic along with the Lunar Spellbook. You can make 1 mil GP plus per hour by using this method, which is amazing. You're basically turning buckets of sand and seaweed into molten glass, which other people or yourself can use for crafting. And as far as the XP per hour, you can get 55k magic XP per hour on top of 85k crafting XP per hour. So it's pretty efficient in that regard. That's why a lot of people might choose this route. Also, if you're an Ironman, getting all this molten glass is very, very useful. But on top of that, it is very, very good money and XP per hour across the board. So this is a very well-rounded magic method. Next up is the Tan Leather spell. This one requires 78 mage, the Lunar Spellbook, and most importantly, the Hard Fremenic Diary to be completed. So there is a pretty hefty requirement behind it. but with that comes great rewards. So you can get 1 mil plus GP per hour again, which is an amazing way to go about making money. And in addition to that, you get 125k XP per hour in Mage. So it's really, really good money, really good XP. I guess again, if you're an Iron Man, it's a great way to attain the leather that you might have in your bank. But because it's locked behind the diary, that means that a lot of people don't have access to this method, which keeps the margins high and keeps the money flowing. And then the final method for this video is the Plankmake spell. This one requires 86 magic to be able to use it, and the Lunar Spellbook as well. The Lunar Spellbook just ripe with tons and tons of great spells, as you can tell. You can get 200k GP per hour with this method if you're using mahogany logs, and in addition to that, 155k XP per hour. So quite similar in terms of Plankmake to tan leather netting you a lot more profit, but this one doesn't require a diary at all. So it's another great money and great XP method that you can go about training your mage. And ultimately, after this video, you should have a ton of great ways to go out there and train your mage going forward and try them out. See which one you like best. Personally, I've done basically all of these. Like I bounce around a lot in game. If you've ever watched my series, you'll know that about me. I get a little bored doing the same thing over and over. So feel free to test out any of these, see which ones you like the best, and from there you got your own route towards 99 magic. But that is going to be it for this guide, so hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like, and if you want to tell me or others anything, feel free to drop in a comment down below. On top of that, got plenty of links so you can check myself and the community out down below in the description. And if you want to see more videos like this as soon as I go live, make sure to subscribe. But with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.